within the Omega Speedmaster Professional range of watches. Hold on, let me clear my throat.
Is that your Connery?
Sean Connery. I don't even like Rolex. Hey guys, it's Cam with Craft and Tailored, and this episode of What Is On My Wrist, we're talking about an Omega Speedmaster, this one specifically from 1968. The reference is 145.022. This one is pretty unique and special because it is the transitional model of Omega Speedmaster Professional, in which Omega transitioned from the caliber 321 movement to the 861 movement, but this specific Speedmaster retains some of the original pre-Moon Speedy features, which I think made it worthy of some time on the wrist. Also, we just partnered with Forstner Bracelets, and they make these really awesome kind of throwback JB Champion bracelets. And so I figured this model was really cool. I wanted to feature and introduce our Forstner bracelets, but also I was talking with Tyler earlier today, and he's like, we haven't really done that many Speedies. And I'm like, really? Why wouldn't we do that? We sell a lot of them. I love Omega Speedmasters. I have a few of them in my own collection. So this model was kind of, in this example, is kind of rare in the sense that it possesses some really cool features and is worthy of some discussion. But also I thought it was kind of fitting to put this on this really cool JB Champion Comfort bracelet that we have in our online shop. So really cool, and kind of wanted to feature that as well. So let's get into the details. So the Omega Speedmaster reference 145.022 replaced the Omega Speedmaster reference 145.012 in around 1968. This exact model, this reference 145.022 from 1968, is considered a transitional model for the Speedmaster Professional in reference because it is a pre-Moon Speedy, but it has a Cal 861 movement in it that obviously replaced the precursor movement, which was the Omega Caliber 321. The cool thing about this specific watch is it retains a lot of things that you only see in the 321 based watches, like the applied flat foot Omega logo at the 12 o'clock position. You have a flat foot crown, obviously, and then you have a pre-Moon Omega caseback, which just has the Omega Speedmaster hippocampus logo or the seahorse, and then it says, Speedmaster across the top of the seahorse instead of officially flight certified by NASA for all manned space missions, et cetera, which you would see into the 1970s after the moon landing. I really like Omega Speedmasters because one of the association to NASA. I think that the testing and all of the horological significance is really, really cool. Obviously, most recently we had the Moonwatch that came out. Omega has a cult-like following, and I think the cool thing about Omega as a brand is that you have a lot of horological significance that follows the brand, but you kind of don't have that, I guess, pretentiousness or arrogance that kind of is associated with some of the other brands. Even in today's market, people associate a Rolex with luxury, whereas I think even though Omega has some hot horological pieces where we're talking about, coaxial escapements and tourbillons and all that kind of stuff, you can find that within the brand, but at the core of the brand, there is still this kind of accessible, fine element of watchmaking while still maintaining accessibility, which I think is really cool, that the brand has not lost that even in today's modern market. So 145.022, this one being kind of the exception to the rule, being that you have a lot of the carryover that you would see in the 145.012 in the previous models. Applied Omega logo, dot over 90 bezel, really beautiful case. I love these watches. Mechanical movement. I have a couple of Speedmasters in my collection, and it's a watch that I find myself wearing frequently. I love chronographs as well. I think if you were to compare an Omega to, let's say, like a Rolex Daytona, I would say that even at its most basic form, the Omega Speedmaster is definitely much more legible. There's kind of this form meets functionality element to Omega Speedmasters as a whole, and that's why I love them. So let's talk a little bit about this specific example and why I love it and why it's cool, but also some of the unique details that I think you only find in this specific watch that make it kind of unique onto itself. So the first thing is that if you look at the outer minute track, there's a step in these dials. So it's a stepped dial essentially, where the minute track is in a little recess or pipe hand that surrounds the dial. The luminous marker actually extends beyond that step and kind of goes into the center portion of the dial. You do have an an interesting sweep seconds hand. Instead of the sweep seconds hand like in the 3-2-1 models having kind of that teardrop shape at the end of the sweep seconds hand, we now have that broad alpha hand in the sweep seconds hand, which is unique onto itself because within the 3-2-1 models or dials that have the applied logo, which is a nice little touch and feature set, you're gonna see that teardrop counterweight on the bottom of the sweep seconds hand, whereas we have a much more kind of modern delta or alpha shape on the sweep seconds hand, which is really cool. I absolutely love these Forstner bracelets. So we actually wrote an article on our blog that talked about the official NASA watch straps that were worn for the Apollo missions and what was worn on the moon and all that kind of stuff. The astronauts needed flexibility in their bracelets, and so JB Champion, under this Comfeet type of brand, was making these bracelets that were really cool. It's this basic like kind of square mesh bracelet, and the design is really cool because at this little end here, you can actually move and adjust the size of the bracelet quite easily. And then essentially what happens is this kind of pressure fits back onto this kind of like mesh bracelet, and then it has this hook fastener that allows you to quickly adjust the size of the bracelet. One, these bracelets are really comfortable. So when I actually wear my Speedmaster on this bracelet, it not only looks cool, but it's also really comfortable. This mesh is a really comfortable material. And then the other thing that's kind of cool, and I think that this is where the astronauts found, kind of like functionality in this bracelet, is that you can quickly size the bracelet to fit over like a spacesuit, or size it to just fit around your wrist. So these are available. I can't even get this on.
I was noticing, I was like, it's supposed to be quick.
Okay, there we go. Got it on. So anyways, I'm a huge fan of these bracelets. Having worn these, I can now see why the astronauts were using these bracelets. They offer really quick adjustability, so you could literally take this off, adjust it, put it around a spacesuit, or after you're done with whatever your experiment, adjust the bracelet again and then just put it back on your wrist. And they're also really comfortable. The bracelet's light, but yet substantial. Like, I don't really feel like it's gonna come off my wrist. And so I think that the astronauts, when they were ultimately doing their experiments and going through other testing and that kind of stuff, I think that's why you see these bracelets being considered as form meeting function. It wasn't necessarily a fashion thing. Maybe it is now for like all the speediaholics out there, like wearing one of these, this is like real inside baseball, like I'm a NASA Speedmaster fan. But like, I think that I'm also now too a fan just from like, obviously I'm a watch nerd, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're really comfortable and really cool. So in any case, we'll provide a link in the description below so that you guys can check out these bracelets. And they also make awesome bracelets for other Speedmasters. I actually have one of their beads of rice bracelets on a Gruen Ocean Chief of mine that just fits the watch perfectly. And they're also really affordable. Like, you know, if you buy a Speedmaster, I actually prefer most of my Speedmasters to be worn on a strap instead of a bracelet. But if you buy a Speedmaster that's just the head only, and you wanted to add a bracelet, their bracelets are like, they're awesome. So this specific 1968 145.022 is available in our online shop currently. It's a really superb example. I think if you were getting into Speedmasters, whether they be pre or post moon, or are just looking for a good Omega Speedmaster, this is kind of a nice showcase example. Really pretty luminous patina, good overall example, but I think it has some of those extra features that are really cool as it relates to kind of being that transitional carryover over the 3-2-1 feature set while leveraging the 8-6-1 movement. So really cool example. In any case, guys, thanks as always for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have watch questions, we're totally here and happy to help. Drop us a line at info@craftandtailored.com. If you're not doing so already, follow us on Instagram @craftandtailored, and I will see you guys in the next one. One, they have kind of like a historical horological significance. How about that? That was a mouthful. You know what I'm saying?